quiet. Go on and get crunk. Head back to Longview, Kelly popping trunk. I ain't even tripping. Riding and I'm sipping. Let me come through, 4-4, steady tipping. On that new lap. Watch the trunk crack. Let me sit sideways, CB running back. Maybe AP, maybe AD. I ain't even tripping cause we some athletes. Messing with Smitty in the summertime. He get pissed if we don't make our time. But we gon' get it, cause we gotta finish. Nebraska horn hustlers, man, we diminish. Put them boys little, paint like a skittle. I ain't even tripping, I ain't never double dribble. Cause I'm a player from the Himalaya. Let me sit sideways, man. Maybe back door, maybe fall off. Sipping codeine cause I gotta kill a cough. Let me sit sideways in the big Benz. Oh, you boys, they my brothers, they my friends.
All right, welcome to Fullback U, and man, this is just I've been excited since we booked this damn pod. But my bro Zack Sanchez, amazing Sooner, excited to hear his voice and have you in person, bro. Excited to have you here. How you feeling?
Man, I'm excited to be here. I know it's highly anticipated. I should have been here before, but I'm here now, man. And I'm ready to go.
Part one of many. So,
yes, definitely.
Let everybody know before we're gonna get straight into it. But let everybody know where you at now. What you doing?
I'm back home in Fort Worth, Texas. Recently, back in June, July, I started my own trucking and logistics company. So dealing with that, man, and actually have a contract we're working on to get out here. So if there's any drivers in the area,
I love
let me know, get at me. So
I love it.
No, but it's just been fun, man. Just a different part of life away from ball, and I'm just enjoying it, man. I'm happy.
I said we're gonna get straight to it. There's no debate that you and I are easily the most hated Sooners on Twitter, but we're also two of the most loved. It's like there's no gray area.
No.
The Zack Sanchez that I know, first of all, let me just, and I'm not trying to throw you softballs, but I think a lot of people come at you sideways initially, which happens to me. I feel like, you're put with your back against the wall, but the Zack Sanchez that I know is a great guy, loves the fans, that whole deal. Is it a misconception? How do you feel about your Twitter topics? Just let me know.
Yeah, I mean, just yourself too. You're a very opinionated person, so and we have strong opinions, man. And I think it can get distorted sometimes with Twitter words, and typing and only so many characters. But at the end of the day, it's never no malice with me. It's never no hurt feelings.
I go meet up with people and fight.
Nah, not no more, man. Not no more. Those days are gone. But so it's just when I do go back at people, it's for fun. Like I'm never really. My face is never red at my phone. It's never nothing like that. It's always fun and games. There are topics I am serious about, and people know that. But, I was just always raised to stand in what you believe in, and I'm always going to put my opinion out there, whether people like it or not. Everybody's not going to like you, and I realized that from the jump from a young age. So, but it's never no disrespect to nobody, no malice, anything like that.
I think the biggest thing, just from the outside looking in, is just one. People don't fucking realize, Zach, the knowledge that it takes to even step out on the field. You cannot go through meetings without knowing a very, very high level of football. Secondly, the athleticism at corner. I don't want to hear that shit. I get it. We're all mad at the corners. But unless your ass can get out there and guard Kevin White and who's the other ones at OSU, Blackman and Des Bryant, the
Tyler
Baylor court. Come on. We're complaining about nothing. But just talk about the talent level of what you have to have at corner and just the guys that you win.
It's just how I am and how you see on Twitter is exactly how a corner has to be on the field. You got to have supreme confidence. You got to be an asshole in a sense, because it's not always gonna be good. Actually, more times than not, it's gonna be bad. But you got to find a way to dig yourself out of these holes, and it's you guarding guys that run 4-3, 4-4, and you running backwards. And I think a lot of people don't really understand how difficult that is, and you do a good job of trying to educate them. You got a lot more patience than I do with it. I'm gonna commend you on that. You do, but man, it's a different world out there, bro. And unless you've ever lived it or been a part of it, you can't really understand it. And I do my best to try to help people. But it's just one of those things that if you've never been in that fire, you can't really feel it.
No, that's real. And again, even you look back at what we experienced with against Alabama a year ago, just with side adjustments and things like that. You can put it out there for people all the time. Just here's what they know, here's what they don't know, here's the tendencies, here's the percentages here and there. But it boils down to them making a play. I want to talk about 3 different games. And you probably already know the 3 games that I'm gonna bring up. People only think of the bad. They don't think of the good. The picture from Alabama. I think the whole Zack versus the fans deal starts the Baylor game.
Right.
What happened in the Baylor? First of all, one of my roommates was their running backs coach at the time. So I know how they run their offense. I knew this shit was hard, complex to stop.
Right.
the first drive of the third quarter, what happened there? After the game, you had some tweets that just to the fans, just talk about just that whole damn day.
Yeah. So man, it was a rough day from the jump. I mean, we jumped out on them though. So we jumped out on them, and then you know how college football can go, man. One play can turn the whole game around, and you know, when it comes to me, you know, a lot of people harp on the bad, but like in those blowout games and, you know, games that we played bad as a defense, honestly, those were some of my better games. Like even in that Baylor game, I remember giving up 2 catches to Good, and you know, Antoine Goodley's a guy that I've known, being committed there that I've known, and you know, we were jawing at it. And so against Baylor, I've always had a chip on my shoulder just because, you know, my history I've had with them.
I didn't think of that. Damn.
So, but you know, the bad games, one thing I prided myself on is like all my worst games came in double-digit wins. Like whether people know it or not, whether they go back and look at the film or not, but that Baylor game, man, it's a snowball effect, bro. You know how it goes. Like once a corner is out there getting attacked and their confidence goes down, and it's just tough, man. It's a tough hill to climb back up. And you know, it was just bad as collectively as a defense. You know, not getting no pressure on the quarterback. You know, guarding some of the freakishly athletic guys in space and trying to tackle these guys in space is hard.
No doubt.
It's hard.
So I got a backdoor with that one with the game up in Stillwater. You got to start out fast. You know, hey, again, I get it, brother. But here's the deal. Sanchez said, brother, I saw Woolfolk. There's a first round draft pick get torched. I saw D Straight when the damn Thorpe get torched. I mean, it happens, man. And then the other deal, when I bring up about the OSU game, I remember being on Twitter and just saying to people, listen, I mean, this isn't high school. Like you're not able to just double team him and put a safe. It's not. Mike Gundy knows our defense. They're able to single you up, and those things happen. But if you can't, and you slipped a few times, hell, the service probably takes a service. Just talk about that game.
So the slipping, it was really from my own stubbornness, to be honest. You know, that was my ankle injury I came at. That was my second game, my third game back. Re-injured it in the Baylor game and went up to Waco, or down to Waco. And to be honest, it's probably a game I shouldn't have played in, but man, you think I'm not gonna play? And I knew I was leaving, you know, so that'd have been my last game. And we're going to play for the Big 12. Like, you think I'm not gonna play in there? You're crazy as hell. You know, you're out your mind. So it's just my own stubbornness, but shit, I didn't care. Like, they could have scored on me 4 times. We won by damn near 30 points, you know? So, and that's the thing it's been for me. Like, I don't care how bad I play. If we win, I'm cool. Like, I can deal with the fans, bro. Real. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can deal with guys that will talk on Twitter, but when they see me on campus, will put their hood on and walk the other way. So I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll jaw back and shit just because it's funny to me, but it was never like, man, I got to go home and deal with these fans. Like, it was never none of that. But, like, my bad games, like, nobody's a bigger critic on themselves than I am, you know? And that's why me and Mike got along so much, because he knew, Mike and Bob, like, they knew I would be pissed off more than anybody, and they know how to attack the next week after a bad game. So, you know, it happens. The shit happens. I'm really mad because I was in position to make picks on both of those balls I slipped on.
Absolutely.
But that's just that's probably the most frustrating part. You know, it's not even getting beat, because at this position, bro, it's gonna happen. Like, and I knew that from the jump, and so it was just me not making those plays that I would make, and I know I can make. So that's really the most frustrating part, is when you're in position to make those plays and don't.
There was a game, and people probably didn't think that you played well, but I'm going to say that I think that you going after Kevin White and staying on him an entire fucking game says more about you than anything. What was that experience like, playing a top 10 pick all game? Did you go at coach and say, hey, I got this guy all game? You didn't ask to be taken off of him. I said the thing says a lot.
Nah, man, that was a tough matchup, man. A great receiver, you know. And my biggest thing walking away from that was just tackling, man. Like, he had so much yak. You know, he got the bomb on me, the 68-yard bomb. Was the one.
You know exactly how many
I know
yards.
how many yards,
But
I know what coverage we were in. I know he caught me in no man's land, like me and Q Hayes was discussing, and he caught me. You know, and it happens. But I think you take away that one, and then you take away 2 missed tackles, and he probably has 8 catches on me for 40-something yards, you know, and it was just missed tackles, man. And you know, luckily I got guys like Strike and Tap, and that was Samanje's breakout game, you know, to help me. And, you know, that's what's the great thing about having great teammates, man. And as angry as I was at the end of that game, just because of the matchup, you know, I want to dominate the guy. I knew who he was. I knew, you know, what type of season he was having. And, you know, if I could just tackle that game, and I think it's a whole different story. But it was great, man. And then another game that I would put up there was the Tyler Lockett game when K-State came here. He kind of went off in the first quarter. Jew was battling an injury, and I went up to Mike straight up like, let me follow him, and I think he had one catch on me the rest of the game for like 8 yards, and I think like that's where I took pride and stuff, and that's where I kind of took that leap of like, man, I'm built for this, like, you know what I'm saying, I can really do this. So, but that West V game, man, I think I don't think there's been a DB in a Sooner uniform that hasn't been baptized in that stadium.
Real.
My freshman year was Tavon.
Last year Bookie.
So it's tough to play up there, man. And a lot of people don't understand. I think that's the hardest place to play in the Big 12. Those fans are on you. They serve liquor in the stadium, so you know what I'm saying. So they're on your ass, and it's an electric place, man. But that's one game that sticks out for me, just because who he was, and to know like, man, if I saw you again, it was gonna be a whole different story.
That's real. We've talked about a few bad games, and again, to a couple top 10 picks with those guys and first rounders. I'm looking at the good games. You got Amari Cooper in one. You catch a pick. Tennessee game, catch a pick. Talk about some of your better games, favorite moments, favorite memories.
Man, obviously, that Bama game was just huge, bro. I remember.
That was awesome, man.
I remember just being in the dorm, man, and us, they, announcing the game and who we're playing. And I remember I text Gabe Lynn, like, bro, you're not leaving with an L. Like, I'm not letting you leave with an L, And that was my mindset as a redshirt freshman, my first year starting. And he was just like, man, let's get it. And, it was just since we got down there in New Orleans, the coaches were loose, we were loose, and you could kind of just feel it, man, the whole week. Like, Mike's out on bourbon, the coach is out on bourbon. Everybody's enjoying the moment, man, and nobody's uptight about it. And it's kind of just like, we gonna go out here and play our game. Like, we know what we can do. So that obviously was the first one. Another one, was my last year going up to Knoxville, man. That stadium.
That was a crazy
game. Man, that stadium there is a fool, man. But that was just, we were flat. I'm not gonna lie, we came out flat in the first quarter, and they jumped out, I think 17-0 on us, and we just, and it's crazy, man, because we sat there on the bench the whole game, me, Strike, Tap, and Don. We just like, bro, like chilling, like we're not gonna lose the game, like
right.
We just knew like it'd be a matter of time before Bake and those guys wake up. So, and they did, and when they did, it was a wrap. So, man, that was a great game too.
Yeah. If anybody hears anything, I'm throwing a 10-year-old slumber party here for my son, so you might hear some toilets farting. Who knows what you'll hear? But you mentioned Mike Stoops and Bob. Your relationship with them, you were also there to see the transition, I believe, of Lincoln going from OC to HC. Talk about your relationship with them and then that transition you saw.
Man, with Mike, I'll start with Mike first. Mike came to my high school probably 4 days after they announced he was back at OU. And, I met him in my office, and I was kind of just like, oh, shit, like, this guy, you know what I'm saying? You can tell that he's serious business. He's serious business. But I think what prepared me for him was, man, I had a peewee coached out. I was 6, 7 years old, and he's on our ass, like on our ass. And I don't think I've ever had a coach me harder than that. So I was prepared for Mike, and then we got here my freshman year, the year I redshirted, and I was getting into a high pool and guys like that on from scout team and things like that. But it was never a matter of my effort. It was, it was just, I'm here to compete. Like, I understand I'm on scout team, but you're not finna walk over me.
Right.
And I think, me and Mike butted heads, and it was kind of just a respect thing. And I told him, like, look, I respect you, but the respect got to be both ways. And we had that agreement. I remember Chip always talks about it. Me and him were in his office, and it got loud. And he said him and Bobby Jack were outside the door thinking, we were about to throw down. And it was just like, nah. But since that point, it was just like me and Mike were tight. Like, I was his guy. He knew when he needed me to rally the guys, I was there for him, and I always had his back. And then with Coach Bob, man, that November, it was Kansas week, I remember it. It was a Tuesday practice. Like I said, I had been getting into a hypo in Norvell and those guys. And, I'm walking on to practice. I already got my attitude. I'm in the zone. Like, I'm finna, here we go again, and Bob, Bob just walked up to me. He's like, how you doing? I just want you to know I believe in you. I think you're going to be a great player for us. And, like, from that day, bro, like, my whole mindset changed. Like, I was just, all right, I got Bob Stoops to believe in him.
You got his attention.
I got his attention. Yep. And, I feel like I just took off, that off season with Chip, man. I worked my ass off, like, tremendous. Like, even Chip can tell you stories. It'd be times it was 1 a.m., bro. I'm on the corner and I'm sitting there. I'm like, no, this ain't where I need to be. I hit Chip. We 1:30 in the Everest, like, in the morning, bro.
That's real.
Like, getting after it. So, just the faith that Bob and Mike had in me from day one, when I was just, a little snot-nosed 18-year-old with a bad attitude, they seen something in me that I didn't even know I had in myself. So to have that confidence from them, man, it blasted me into what I was here. Like I owe them a lot, and I thank them for it.
Yeah. Lincoln transition, and we got to talk about Schmitty and Coach Wiley transition too.
So, man, when Link got there, you could just feel it. Like you could just feel the way he would talk shit to us on defense, and hype. That wasn't hype. If you know hype, that's not hype. That's not hype at all. And
square L7.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's it.
Exactly. I think that's why we got into it a lot. But me and Strike noticed it because if you know the talkers on the defense, it was me and Strike at the time. And we like, damn, Link coming right back at us. Like, hold on, like we like that. Like that's what we need. And then the same time he had got here, we had got Bake became eligible. So you got two guys like that on your offense, and now you got guys like Shep. Before Bake, it was just Shep on the offense that would fire goes up. Trevor was a leader in himself, but Trevor was a more straight line guy. Shep is the more that's gonna get in your ass, talk shit to you. Now you got Bake, so now you got Bake and Shep on that side, and you got me and Strike on the defense. And I think Lincoln meshed right with us, man, and he took off, bro. I just remember those days we were going back and forth, like going at it, and he lining up Shep on me, like me and Shep would have our battles, but he's like, nah, we gonna get your ass today. And he'd tell me before practice, like, we gonna get on your ass today. And it'd be days they give me. I ain't gonna lie, it'd be days they give me, but it was just the confidence he brought, man, and the swagger Link brings to his team, and he rallies those guys, man. And I think I think that's just been the biggest thing is he can rally the offense and the defense. Like it's not just the offensive. I'm just worried about my guys. Like he's worried about both sides of the ball. He wants to get everybody better, and it's just been great, man. I couldn't be happier for him.
The horror stories before you got there, just of Schmitty, and then after, if you can, just put it into words, and then just talk about what you think of Wiley and them now.
Oh man,
shit was hard, wasn't it,
bro? Hard is not even a word, and it's crazy because you had Schmitty when he was a serial killer. Like that's the only way I could put it. And even I would say my freshman year, I remember coming to like spring games and talking with Kenny and TJ. And they be like, bro, you better get your mind right. Like, if you ain't working out, you better start. And I'm like, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, whatever. Like, I'm telling TJ, like, man, I'll be working out 3 times a day. TJ just laughed, like, yeah, all right. So, man, that summer, bro, was just hell. Like, I mean, those 350s, those stadiums, and then, we had CC and Scott, one guy slacking off. So we running them again, start over. All right, big dog, right back, good. Thumbs down, we no good. We right back at it. But, man, it molds you into something. Like you either with it or you're not. And I think that's when you find out who was all with it. Because we had some guys in our class that weren't with us, 2 weeks in the camp. They were gone, whether it be from summer workouts or they just couldn't handle the heat of it. But one thing about me, man, this is my attitude. I've always been an ultimate competitor. Even when shit was hard, I fell out of workouts plenty of times. Like I'll be the first one to admit I fell out plenty of times. But Smitty's gonna get that dog about you, and if he sees weakness, he's gonna attack you. And I think that's what makes him so great. Like people don't really understand Smitty, kind of like the same way they don't understand Mike. But Smitty really just wants the best for you, like, man. And then once I got past that and could make the workouts, and I'm leading the runs and stuff as a freshman and stuff like that. Me and Smitty, they became my dog. Like, I'm showing up early to work with Smitty. And a lot of people don't like that and don't want it because you don't like Smitty at first, but you kind of got to understand what he's preparing you for, because you had a blue blood. Like, this ain't, this ain't OSU, this ain't Baylor, like,
real.
You know what I'm saying? And I'll be honest with you, this ain't even Texas. Like, this is Oklahoma football. This is different, bro. This is you come from a long line of All-Americans, just dogs, man. Boys that have been here, that have done that, and you got a name to uphold. So, and that was real for me, man. So I always wanted, to make my mark, and Smitty did. Smitty helped me all the way through, man. Just being mentally tough, like through those workouts, became mentally tough during those games when shit was going bad, and able to handle it. And like, man, I'll be all right. Like, shit, I'll shake that shit off. Come on, next play. So
you mentioned earlier, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you mentioned earlier about you knew you were going to leave early. We got to talk about that. What was that decision like? Was it hard for you? Let me
know. Man, to be honest, people are probably going to think I'm crazy, but looking back, and me and Strike talked about it, because after the first Clemson game, my redshirt sophomore year,
the boys was nice.
Yeah. my redshirt sophomore year, Strike and Tap were both leaning that way, and I had kind of started getting some bugs in my ears too, and I was kind of leaning that way too. But those are my dogs, so, and they kind of had more draft eligibility than me, and more draft notoriety, I would say, than me at that point that I had thought. So they were on edge, and I was kind of on edge too. Like, man, shit, y'all my dogs. Like, so I could do it by myself, but what I'm saying, I came in with y'all. I want to leave with y'all. But they ended up staying, and I stayed too. And we all three knew like that was gonna be my last. That was gonna be my last ride. Going into that 2015 season. But it's crazy because Julian Wilson, he left, and he was like, bro, they were asking me about you at the combine, like thinking you was gonna leave. And I look back now, I'm like, damn, man, what if, But my mind was made up. I'd done my 4 years. You know what I'm saying? From a technique standpoint, it wasn't really much that I could learn in that year. You know what I'm saying? It really wasn't much more that I could really work on in my game. I had all the tools. I had all the tools and things like that. I think the biggest thing for me that people were like hunting me about coming back was the interception record. And that's when I tell people, like, it's never been about individual awards for me. Like, I didn't give a damn about that. Like, yeah, I could have came back and shattered it the next year, but it wasn't ever that for me. And I just felt like, I've left my mark. I came out of Big 12 championship, went to the playoffs. Me and all my boys, we're All-Americans for the most part.
Right.
And, I came with those guys. I'm going to leave with those guys. And, I don't regret my decision at all. Injury started hitting me. That's why I kind of wish I left a year sooner, but it happens, so, and I was probably like, I was one of those guys like, man, my body's good. Like, I ain't never going to get hurt. And, ankle. And then in the Orange Bowl, I get plantar fasciitis. And, I'm dealing with that all combine training, to my hernia and stuff. But, I don't regret it at all, man. I think everything has planned out and mapped out the way it should have been. So it's no regrets for me on my end at all.
Man, you could probably write a fucking book of your NFL career, bro. I mean, anybody that wants to try to degrade you, dog. I mean, how many NFL teams did you sign with? I mean, you got drafted to Ron Rivera, one of our defensive coordinators, Chicago Bears. I hold in one of the highest regards. Just let everybody know about your NFL journey, man. Like I said, I'm sure you could write a book about it, but it just,
man, it was crazy, man. And and I think now, like me being kind of done. Well, I'm announcing it, but yeah, done. But it was great, man. At the beginning, OTAs, going through the first OTAs, man, and really learning how to communicate. Because at corner you really don't have to talk. But I go into a new position. I'm playing nickel, and the nickel in Carolina, man, is you basically a backer, and you set in the front. You set in the front, things like that, and you got to communicate motions and all that. So this is all new to me. So, OTAs were a big learning curve for me, but I finally got comfortable, and felt like I was making tremendous strides, bro. Like, and I don't think it's a training camp that I've been in since I was in the NFL that I wasn't the top 2 or 3 DB that I was making plays and production-wise. But, it's just, you get in those situations, and it's like if you don't get drafted to the right situation, it's tough, bro. It's super tough because – a coach, your DC or your DB's coach leaves or something like that, or they just like, a taller guy or faster guy. And, I've been athletic, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a 4.3 guy. Shit, I'm not even a 4.4 guy, but, guys aren't just running past me, and that was one thing, like people want to bring up my speed, but when I was getting run past, it was double moves. Like, nobody's just blazing past me. But my NFL career, man, it was cool. I made a lot of relationships from it, so I don't regret it at all. I've experienced a whole bunch, that I wouldn't have gotten the experience if I didn't get that blessing. It was short, what I'm saying, but injuries happen, and it comes to a point where your body's just like, bro, like, ain't no more. It can't go no more. You know what I'm saying? Like that. And it gets to a point where mentally it drains you, bro, dealing with injuries, and you're like, okay, I feel good. And then you go back out, and it's another thing. It's one thing on top of each other. And that's what it came to, my rookie year, dealing with a sports hernia, and then coming back my second year, and it's still nagging me. You know what I'm saying? And I ruptured my quad my second year, so I'm out for 7 weeks, and then I'm back. Oof. And then come back the next year, my third year, going into my third year, I ruptured my other quad, and it's just like, bro, like I can't catch a break. Right, yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's finally when I'm getting comfortable in the defense, and we got personnel people coming up to me, and they're excited about my progress and things like that. And then a new GM comes in, you know what I'm saying, and he likes a different type of player and things like that. So, you know, it's all about, I tell people like this, it's all about your situation, bro. It really don't matter. You can be a second round draft pick and get drafted to a situation where it doesn't fit you, and an undrafted guy make it over you. You know, not necessarily because that guy's better than you, but because that's what they like and that's what fits for them. But I think a lot of people don't really understand, like, it's really about the organization and what fits you. But you know, my NFL career was short-lived, but it was great to me, man. I still got a whole bunch of friends, some brothers that I've met, still very close with them, and a whole bunch of relationships and connections that I've met. So I'm grateful for it all, man.
I think that one of the biggest things that I see in just the visual from afar is you made so many. I think one thing that shows how you're a high character guy. I mean, in the NFL, it's hard to make an impression on dudes, and you clearly have made so many friends in the NFL. I'm like, how does Sanchez know these dudes? Like, but it shows, and I mean, you probably not even around them that much, but you just meet them and gravitate. And I think I see a lot of myself like that. Yeah. But just talk about some of the friends that you have in the league that you're real cool with.
Yeah, you know, just going into a situation like Carolina, man, and when you get there, they'll tell you, like, bro, you ain't gonna go into another locker room like this, and you don't realize it until you go to a different team. But, like, you know, from Thomas Davis to Charles Johnson, Cam Newton. I remember Cam, bro, first day walked in. You know, I got drafted with 2 other corners, so it's 3 of us. You know, he sat us down, talked to us, and was like, bro, if y'all need anything, hit my line. Y'all can come to my house whenever y'all want. You know, TD's always invite us to his house, you know, to his wife's birthday party and things like that. Chuck is always with us, Charles Johnson. You know, and then being around Luke Kuechly, you know, another cool guy, like, bringing me in, like, not giving me a choice, like, you coming with me, we're going to learn, you know, this nickel stuff. And, you know, so being around those guys and, you know, still having relationships with Chuck and TD, like, you know, when Georgia lost last week, I texted them both and we're on their ass about it. You know, and Cam with Auburn, you know, we played Auburn a couple years ago.
Gotta let them know.
You know, we on them, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it was rare. It was a point for me to go to Carolina because those guys are different. You know, and being around Julius Peppers, like, and it's crazy because before I left, you know, I told Pep, I was like, Pep, I need a jersey, you know, and I ended up getting one. You know what I'm saying? Like, just little things like that, you know, from a guy like that. You know, it's crazy because, you know, it's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, like, greatest ever. Like, you know, for him to, you know, I played with him for a year, you know what I'm saying? And for him to have that much respect for me to do that for me, it's been great, man. And then, you know, the guys I got drafted with, James Bradbury, Darryl Worley, Vernon Butler. You know, it's been great, man. Those are like my brothers for life, you know, and just great relationships, dog. And I think it just goes to the locker room and the type of guys that I was around. And you know, and all those guys, they still text me like, bro, I can't believe, like, you not here with us.
Right,
like, you supposed to be here. Like, they telling me, I'm like, bro, like, I'm cool with it. Like, it's got to a point where I'm at peace with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing something I think I'm supposed to be doing to create opportunities for the people around me. And, you know, I think that's where I'm at in the point of my life. But I know I have those relationships and those guys I always fall back on.
Before we go into the fan questions, talk to me about your businesses and everything you got going on.
So, you know, I got a trucking and logistics company. You know, me and my brother-in-law, he helps me out with it. You know, initially we were moving some frack and sand in the oil fields for East Texas. So, you know, semi-trucks, big trucks. You know, so I'm always looking for drivers. It's hard to find good, reliable drivers, but it's just been good with that, man, and just building it, you know, and kind of seeing it as your baby. Like, you know, the first 4 or 5 months, it's hard. You know, those are like, you know, the hardest parts of business, but just learning the business aspect of it. You know, I had a meeting last night. I would have been here last night, but you know, I had a meeting and you know, just learning in business, and I think taking my mentality from being an athlete into business. And knowing how to deal with people and how to lead people, you know, and I also help him. He has his own production company, you know, and when he does these big festivals and things like that, he brings me on, and, you know, I have to manage 5, 6 guys. But, you know, I know how to get the best out of people. I'm not an asshole, you know, things like that. I know how to be stern when I need to, but I think that's what football has instilled with me, and just being in a team setting. And I think that's what's going to help me in the business world. Aspect of everything. It's just knowing how to deal with people, man. It's all about respect. Like, and I think that's one thing I've always been with my coaches. Like, I don't think I've ever been disrespectful, you know, to any of the coaches that I've been a part of. So it's just been a big respect thing for me, man. And it's just been great, dog. Like, to be honest, like, when I tell people I'm happy, like, they probably think I'm just bullshitting, but like, no, like, I'm really happy to try to grow something from the ground up, you know, and put all my homeboys on back home. Like, I think that's my biggest goal. You know, and I actually got to hire one of my partners I grew up with, You know, so that was cool. Like that was like a big stepping stone for me. You know, just keep putting people on, man. I think that's just the biggest thing. I've always wanted to help everybody else. Like I've always been at my happiest when I'm helping other people out.
Man, that's real. Like, if there would have never been a Hard Knocks, there would have never been me helping kids and getting in my own gym and shit like that. But I felt that on the happiness, and also got to tell you. You got to do a podcast. I'm on it. I don't care what the topics are. I'm on it. So you just let me know what you name it, and I got you.
We definitely
let's hit
it.
These fan questions. Been amazing,
cool.
dog. So
Cool.
we got 5 of these. At Timber Ghost wants to know, what's your best advice for a 5'10" corner going against a 6'6" receiver?
Use your speed and your quickness, man, to the best of your ability. You know, big guys like that really can't move. They can't move like you can. And I would say just bring that dog, man. It's not you hear that saying, it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. And, you just got to have that ultimate little man syndrome, to be honest, in that scenario, like you got to have it, man. And just, it's me against you, and it's a fight. You're in a fist fight. So my biggest advice would just get in them, bit physical with them if you can, if that's the type of corner you're not. If not, if you're a finesse guy, use your quickness, use your wits, and use your ball skills to go and beat those bigger guys out. And that was the biggest thing with me. I loved bigger receivers, man, because I knew I was going to beat you out your break 9 times out of 10. And I knew I was going to get to that ball before you. So I loved it, man. I think the quicker guys are the more problematic guys. But, when it comes to those bigger guys, man, just be ferocious, man. Let them know off rip, like, I'm here. I don't care how big you are, what you got going. I'm in your face all night.
That's real. A lot of kids, you're from Texas, so a lot of kids do play corner. A lot of kids in Oklahoma don't play corner. You'd be amazed, man, how many kids, hey, run down the field, run a go.
Right.
Oh, okay. Try to Odell shit. And I'm like, okay, backpedal. You're like, bro, what? Where? Why?
Yeah,
I mean, we're not playing in the street. We're not covering people. What the hell?
It's all about the lights, man. Those, the receivers, those offensive guys get all the lights. So I understand it, man. I'm not mad at them about it.
At Gina, at 1959, Gina, you see, women won. Anyway, I ain't gonna get you caught up. But anyway, at 1959, 19 Gina 59 wants to know: 1, what's the initial feeling when you intercept the ball? Is it a basic instinct to just start running? I'll read them again. 2, if memory serves you, declare for your junior year pros and cons. 3, did you feel your Sooner experience gave you any advantages over other rookies? 4, did you know that your autograph would be a major bucket list for an old semi-retired special ed teacher?
I'll answer 4 first. No, I did not. I didn't think anybody, until I got here, man, you don't really know how big of a reach you have, just seeing little kids and stuff like that. So no, I didn't know that.
Initial feeling when you intercept the ball.
Initial feeling depends on if I'm on my feet, I'm gone. Like, I'm trying to get to the end zone. I'm trying to make a play. And then 2, depending on where I'm at, just trying to secure it, make sure I have it, and not giving it back to them.
Yeah. Pros and cons of living your junior
year. Pros, I would say the money, man. Getting drafted.
Yeah.
Obviously. If we're being honest, the cons is just leaving after the injuries. I think those kind of linger with me on into my rookie year. But yeah, I think that's about it though.
Then lastly, and I'm going to answer it for you, did Mike Stoops' Sooner experience give you an advantage over other rookies? And I'm assuming that he sounded a lot like Ron Rivera in the damn meeting room.
Hell yeah, he did. It's just the mentality of when you come here or when you go here, especially playing defense, man. So I think that was my biggest advantage, like knowing regardless of how the practice went or how the day went or what coach's style, like I knew my end goal every day was just to get better and to produce. So, I think it definitely helped me a lot.
At TW Bryant 88, wants to know what made you such a ball hawk? Was it pure instincts, practice, film study? You made so many clutch plays, it was hard to count them all, but he remembers seriously bummed when your time with OU was done. You're a one-of-a-kind player.
I appreciate the compliment, man. It truly does mean a lot, man. It does feel good to hear the love sometimes. But to be honest, man, I grew up a baseball player, and I grew up playing center field, and I think that's where my biggest advantage came from, getting ball skills, just getting jumps on balls. Because if you play center field, getting an early jump on those balls off the bat is huge. So I think just growing up being a baseball player, and then initially I was an offensive guy, man. I was a receiver all through high school. We'll get into the Baylor question a little later, but I was a receiver and all through high school. I played safety. I didn't even play corner until my senior year when those other guys that we were playing had a good receiver or something like that. So it's definitely from my offensive background and from my baseball background.
You hit the nail on the head. At Ryan Gillette 81 wants to know, why'd you commit to Baylor originally? What brought you to OU? You got your favorite on-field memory as a Sooner, and what is next for you? XFL, podcast, or coach?
So what was the question on number 1?
Why did you commit to Baylor?
Oh yeah, so Baylor was believe it or not, Baylor was my biggest offer coming out of high school, man. I was like a 2-star until, I started rolling my senior year. So I didn't really have too many offers. I had like small schools like New Mexico State and UTEP. And then went to a Baylor camp, man, in June, balled out. They told me they want to see me again. So it's always been to prove yourself with me.
That's real.
So, I went back in July, did 2 one-on-ones. They told me to stop. They offered me on the spot. I committed. So I went through my senior year, man, and I was balling. I went crazy my senior year, I'm not gonna lie. And then at the end of the year, bro, it's like January. I want to say first week of January. I'm sitting in my car in my parking lot of my high school, and I'm just like, man, it's just something in me to like just call Coach V. So I called Coach V, and I'm like, man, y'all looking for any more DBs? Like, just let me know. And he had just ran into my head coach at a coaching convention in San Antonio, so it was kind of crazy timing. And he's like, man, we're going to look over your film and this, that, and the third. 2 days later, he calls me back. The next day, he calls me back telling me he's leaving to Clemson and that Mike's going to be taking over. But I didn't care at that point. Like, I had got my offer. And just because it was just something in me that, people always said, like, you would never play at a big school. And, people were saying I wouldn't play at Baylor. And I was like, shit, they really think I ain't going to play at OU. So let's see how it goes.
What's next for you? XFL podcast coaching?
So I'm announcing, man, I'm officially done with football, man. I think if Bob would have called me in January and really would fight for me to come out there, I probably would, just for him and the respect I have for him. But nah, I'm officially done with ball, man. Like I touched on earlier, I have my business I'm trying to grow. This with that, and then yes, I am gonna start a podcast. Thanks to you. You've been an influence on me about it.
I appreciate that, man.
So me and I'm gonna go ahead and announce who I'm probably gonna do it. My dog Strike.
Oh shit! Yes.
My dog Strike is gonna be with me. I was actually with him last week in Toronto, and we talked about it. So he's on board, man. So we try to get it rolling by the end of this year. I know I'm gonna pick you guys' brains about it. Bro. Y'all set the standard for me. I'm gonna leave Sooner football to JD though. That's what I want. I will give my opinion on certain stuff, on different stuff,
life,
everything.
Okay.
We'll touch from politics to everything. Because I just want people to kind of feel the real me. You know what I'm saying? To understand like where I come from and my background and why I believe in. I feel like a lot of people actually see that I agree with them on a lot of things, and and I think it's okay to disagree on certain stuff. So. Yeah, man, the podcast is definitely going to come. Be on the lookout for that.
That's what's up, man. That's awesome. Last one, got that OU DNA. It says, Zach always played with a certain edge every time you're on the field. Can you tell me where that edge came from? What was the person, past or present, that you would compare your game to?
So that edge, man, it's just I've always been my mom always told me I was always just a little problem child, man, since a kid. I was always outside playing with the older kids. So that was another thing. And then I grew up around a lot of hustlers. Like I'm gonna let people use their imagination of what that comes from. But
I know what you mean.
I grew up around a lot of hustlers, man, and my pops being one included. Like he just worked his ass off, and I just remember, we living in apartments my whole life, and just seeing him stress about bills, at the kitchen table, and I just have these engravings of him, bro, like stressing out over stuff. So that's where that comes from. I always just wanted to help my people out. So that's where that edge and that fire comes from in me. And what was the second part?
What was the XFL, the coaching? Or no, that wasn't the one. That was my fault. On that question, my fault. Compare your game to.
To be honest, man, a past player I compare myself to is Asante. He's a guy that I always loved. He's another guy that a lot of people thought were risk reward. They're just crazy because he knew football. You can't tell me another guy's picked out Tom Brady 4 times in a game. He has 4 picks in a game twice. So Asante is definitely a guy I looked up to. When I got to college, Jason Verrett was another guy that I liked a lot.
Tennessee?
TCU. And then obviously my boy Slick, man, AC. Special, man. A lot of people don't really understand what type of talent he has.
They should now.
They should. And I hope these NFL coaches figure it out because that dude is talented.
Is he not around there?
He's in Redskins. He's with the Redskins now. He's with the Redskins now. But, it's just he's bounced around, and it's just teams don't know how to use him. It's like, man, you got one of the purest corners. Just know how to, use him. And that's why I tell people about situations. But, those 3 guys, man, Asante is always a guy I liked, and then Jason and Slick for sure.
Yeah. Andre Johnson gave Slick probably the greatest comment, just saying, man, he put every move he had and couldn't get away from him.
Right.
I mean, this is Andre Johnson that's saying this shit. It's not.
Bro, Slick is dirty. I try to tell people all the time. Like, I even have, NFL guys like, man, what's up with you? I'm like, bro, he's like that. They just don't know how to use him. And that's why tell people is about your situation, bro. It's all about your situation.
That's real. Man, Zach, it's been amazing, brother. I appreciate you, man. Fans are going to love this shit. Appreciate you signing everything. We just got to go ahead and book a part 2, dog. You might as well bring Strike. We can just go ahead and introduce the pod just slowly.
We can definitely do that, man. Pods, Strike's up in Canada right now. I think he got a couple more games left, so I'll get his ass back out here, man, and we'll definitely pull up again. I'm always down to do another one. I love it. You're the only podcast I'll probably come on.
That's real,
for
man.
sure.
That shit means a lot.
I know you're the only one I'll come on. I'll call into some, but you're the only one I'm gonna show up in person for.
That's real.
Just because of how much respect I have for you, and I just want to tell you I appreciate everything you're doing for OU, bro, for the football team, for the fans especially. Trying to give them an insight.
Meet them halfway.
Meet them halfway.
Give y'all a voice, man. You need your voice.
A lot of people, and I'll be honest with you, they don't deserve it, but I just want them to know how good of a dude you are to actually meet them in the middle and do that, because it's not a lot of ex-players that actually do it. So I appreciate you, man, and
sure, brother.
Leapfrogging me into this podcast life, man. I'm excited, so I appreciate everything you guys have done.
It's all love, brother. Man. And hey, like I said, man, I ain't trying to push you to nobody, but producer Brad Reed, that's got to go. So
we've been chopping it up since I got in here, so man, I'm excited.
I take shit over here. I don't even know what to do and nothing to push. But man, I'm ready to send these pictures out to the fans, man.
These signed. So we're going to get these signed and sent out, man, for sure.
My boy Brad Reed will add highlights to it. This will be another great episode of Fullback U.
All right, man. Appreciate you.